Hey, everybody. Hey, Donar, Steve Adams, Downeast. How you guys doing? Yeah, just another pop-up live, man. I got laundry in the wash. Got to stay awake somehow. So I figured to get all you night owls up here. If you guys take a look in the description, you'll see the promo code and the link for Jules Catfish Bait. And you'll also see the price list for Downeast Tackle and how to get in touch with them. And then my phone's being weird. If this works. That's for anybody that wants to come up. Hey, Brandon. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Just another pop-up live. Hey, Mo Barrett. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming in. So, good news today. Well, after work, my buddy went down by the river, and the river is wide open. How you doing, Mr. Steve Adams?
Hey, man, I got a little testimonial for you.
All right.
I put that bait in the Mississippi today.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it stayed on the hook. I had to take a knife and cut it off when I got through fishing.
I told you. And that stuff stays on in some current.
And that old bad current. It sure did. I was totally surprised. I didn't get any bites on it, but it sure stayed on the hook.
Yeah. I noticed when it'll start warming up, when it starts warming up, that's when you'll be catching some big fish on it.
Yeah, I guess it'll start dissolving out of the fiber a little bit. The water's cold out there on the Mississippi. It's still cold.
Yeah.
But the main reason I think I fished for over 5 hours. And wow. I cut it out, on a 10-9 or 10-aught circle hook, whatever Uncle Lou. I think it's 9-aught circle hook.
Yeah. That stuff will stay on a circle hook, no problem.
So I cut it off.
That's the good thing about the blood bait.
I moved spots, and when I moved, I went to a lot less current up in the woods. And I said I was going to use some fresh, so I had to cut it off of the hook to put fresh on. And then I had to cut it off the hook when I got ready to come home.
Yeah.
Hey, Gray Wolf.
Big Mike, thanks for coming in.
Hey, Big Mike. Yeah, so it ought to work. Sooner or later, it's going to be all right. But it stays on the hook. That surprised me. And that's casting it out there too now. I mean, that's throwing it out there in that swift current.
Yeah.
Big Mike calling me coach. Oh, I see. You got coach. I wonder who put that up there.
No telling.
And no telling that because I don't ever look at my name, and man, I get some. Sometimes it be some wild names up there. But I just wanted to come up and let you know,
Yeah, good to
and you
hear.
already knew it. I just wanted to come up and tell everybody.
Yeah, that's good to hear though.
Well,
Because yeah, I know the Mississippi, especially down where you at, it's got some current, boy.
there's plenty of current. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Plenty, plenty. And it was it did fire. I said I had to take a knife and cut it off the hook.
Yeah. I usually use a knife or I use my long nose pliers and I rip it off the hook.
Yeah, that would work. Needle nose would work. But I know down east is itching to get up here. So I just wanted to tell you about the bait. That's the main thing.
Heck, you can stay up. I can hold 10 people up here.
All right. Well, and I'll tell you something else. You're right about you need to be downwind when you take that seal off at the top of that bottom. That stuff pretty raunchy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And I don't guess you're supposed to refrigerate it after you open it, are you?
No, you don't have to.
Because I left it sitting in the back of my truck. I'm going to try to go again in the morning.
Oh, nice. You going live tomorrow?
I was live all day today. Me and Kenneth Powell, Takedown, and Hogleg came up and did the chat for us because the glare gets so bad out there on those telephones, I can't see that chat, man.
Yeah.
But we won.
I was way busy at work today, man. So I missed a lot of people that was going live.
Yeah, today was my first day out in a long time. And I'm gonna try to get out again in the morning. Man, the water's up high. It's terrible. It's got, you can see the mud streaks in it. It's awful. But it beats sitting at home. I don't know, Grey Wolf. If it gets any stinkier, I just have to throw the bottle away because that stuff is tough.
I don't think it does, Grey Wolf, because I keep mine in the cabinet since I bought a case from them last year. But it's bad. When I open it, you guys see me open it on camera, man. I'm not joking. It's a stink bait.
Well, let me ask you something, Lance. When you use it, do you try to leave the hook exposed, the point?
No.
Or you just cover it up?
I just cover it up.
And do you use, say, a golf ball size piece?
Yeah.
Ping pong size, smaller, larger?
Depends on the hook size, how big it's gonna be.
Well, I mean, I'm using it. I can't remember. I ordered 10-aughts from Uncle Lou, but I think he sent me 20. He sent me 25 10-aughts. I'm pretty sure that's what I ordered. I think they're 10-aught circles. They big hooks.
Yeah. I got 7-aught from Uncle Lou. He sent me about 40 of them. But, I can't wait to use them this year.
I'm telling you, they sharp. I hadn't put the sharpening on any of his hooks, and I usually sharpen a brand new hook.
Oh yeah, his comes sharp.
Yeah, they sharp and they stay sharp.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff. I can see that. I hope I can catch a fish on it.
Oh yeah, you will. And where you at? You got monsters, so you'll be able to catch some big ones.
I hope so. I know it's gonna put some scent in the water. Ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah. And the nice thing is you can leave it out there. Like when the bait's slow for us, I'll leave it out there for like 2-3 hours. and then I reel it back in. It
It
still
still
got
stinks.
scent
It
on it.
still
Yep.
stinks like hell. Yeah. Hey, calm
Mm-hmm.
down. Yeah, it don't the scent. It's got plenty of something in there to let that scent flow. Cause I smelled it.
Yeah.
I smelled it. I started not to. In fact, when I moved spots, I started not to change bait. And I
Yeah.
said, well, I'm gonna change bait. So I cut it off with I laid it on my tailgate of my truck and cut it with a knife and got it off of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Like they sent off yesterday. He sent the box off, so hopefully I'm gonna have the cheese bait too. So hopefully I can see what the difference is in the fibers and I can let everybody know.
well, look, do they make a carp bait?
Nope, all catfish.
All catfish. Man, it's a shame they don't grind up some corn or something and try to make a carp bait. I might throw a pole out, try to catch a buffalo or a carp.
You know what's funny? You say carp bait. I did catch a 14 and a half pounder carp on the on that stink bait.
The blood or the cheese?
The blood. That's all I
Blood?
got right now is the blood. That's what I bought last year. And I caught a 14 and a half pound carp on it.
Yeah. Well, see, we got humongous buffalo.
Hey, Carmel.
I mean, they catch these commercial fishermen. They catch 60-pound buffalo every day in the nets. We got some
Oh,
humongous buffalo down here,
that's
and
good.
I wouldn't mind hooking one of them things. I
Yeah.
bet that'd be a fight.
Oh, I bet.
And I don't know anything about it. I think you just throw your bait out there and let it lay on the bottom, don't you?
Yep.
And use a smaller hook, like a 3 or 4 aught or something like that. I don't
Probably.
know. I don't know nothing about it.
I know the carp I caught, I had a 1/0 hook I caught him on.
A catfish hook, or a J hook, or a
Just
circle
the Gamakatsu circle.
circle hook. I
Yeah.
think you got to have a small hook because they got a little mouth.
Yeah.
But a buffalo or a carp are shaped, their mouth shaped a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But I think see, a buffalo is a sucker, right?
I believe so.
Like, what the hell does that mean?
Their mouth is still on the, well, no.
That
Regular
buffalo,
sucker.
but a carp is considered a minnow,
Yeah.
and a buffalo is considered a sucker. And I just wonder how they take the bait. I don't know. I don't think I've ever caught a buffalo all the years I fish.
Me either. I've never caught a buffalo, but I've eaten buffalo.
Small man, yeah. If you know how to butcher him and where you got
Mm-hmm.
that 2 rib bones, man, that's some good eating.
Yeah. I've actually had smoked buffalo. That's some real good eating there.
Mine was fried. I was eating it 2 or 3 times fried. I got a story to tell you about buffalo. It's a construction company here called APAC, APAC.
Mm-hmm.
They build roads. I think they're probably all over the country. I'm not sure. But anyway, they have an annual for a region. They have an annual get together and a fishing tournament for all the employees, and they feed them and wine them and dine them. So thank you for your service type thing.
Yeah.
And everything's free. It's free alcohol, free food, free, and it's a weekend event. And we got a APAC office here in Greenville where they store gravel and stuff and come off the river, and they offload it. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
they held it here. So it's 2 old boys. One of them's a good friend of mine, and he didn't fish. He didn't even have a fishing pole. But they entered the fishing tournament, and it seemed to me like and his biggest fish That's its biggest fish. It ain't no
Uh-huh.
biggest nothing. It's biggest fish. And there's a bunch of bass fish and this and that and the other. You know, even some catfishmen in the deal. Well, Steve and another guy that didn't even fish, they borrowed a 14-foot John boat, and they went up to Walmart and bought them 2 Zebco 33s and some hooks and some worms.
Wow.
And they put that boat in the lake there and paddled it. They didn't even have a trolling motor, man. They paddled over there and they had 2 or 3 cases of beer. You know, they was and a bunch of chicken and a steak or 2. It was all night. It starts at 5 o'clock in the evening and goes to 8 the next morning. It's all night time. So they paddled over there to a grain elevator. And the elevator shut down. I mean, they done offloaded all the grain. And they put the little worms and they drinking and they dropped the worm in there and Steve pulled like it bent out of his hand. And they rode around. And Lake Ferguson it's a port that goes off of the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
And the towboats come up in there and out. Of course, they had a flashlight or 2. And a fish hit their pole and started dragging the boat, and it drug them all night long. On a Zebco 33 with whatever line comes on one. And finally, the next morning, they done drank up all the beer. They just holding on, and and they went all over the lake. They was eating and drinking and holding that fishing pole, taking turns and all. And it was a 54-pound buffalo. The next morning, some of the other guys were coming in and saw them out there going up the lake, holding on, and they had a dip net and everything. And they came out there and told them what to do. They didn't even know what to do. And the Zebco was spooled now, but it was tied on inside that Zebco. It was tied, and it did not break that line. And they caught that fish and waited, and they won the $500.
Wow. Yeah, and Zebcos, man.
And Steve said he was never going fishing again. Yeah, man. But they caught a 54-pound buffalo on a Zebco 33 with stock line.
Hey, J. Fox Hunter.
Hey,
man,
Jeff,
that's crazy.
yeah.
That line that's under ain't no good.
I know it. And that 33 ain't no good for a 54-pound buffalo, but they landed it. It took them 10, 12 hours, but they got him on the scales.
Wow.
I think at one time they just stuck the wedge at the handle of that boat, that pole down in there, and them ribs on that boat said to hell with it. And the fish they just pulling up, just riding around the lake drinking beer with a fish pulling them.
Oh boy.
And now look, you talking about them 33s. Now I don't know if it's still the record, but the Arkansas State Blue Cat was caught on a 33 up under the bridge that leads from West Memphis to Memphis, Tennessee, from the bank, 90-something pounds.
Wow.
And it was caught on a Zebco 33.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if it's still the state record, but I don't remember the 90. It was 90-something pounds.
You said Arkansas?
Yeah, the Arkansas State Blue Cat.
I'm gonna look that up after we get done here.
Yeah, look it up. I interviewed that old boy on several television stations, and some folks told me they made him take a lie detector test. Now I don't know, but they had to certify it, and the Arkansas people came down there and did it, and they certified it. It was in all the papers down here. Okay. Nobody could believe it. He landed it from the bank, but apparently he did.
Huh. Carmel says Zebco reels used to come spooled with Trilene XL.
I don't know. I don't know what Steve and his partner had, but they went up there and bought him a matching set.
That Trilene line, that's some good line.
Hey, Jeremy. I broke my skunk today.
You did?
I did.
What'd you catch?
About a 2.5 pound blue in the middle of a gravel road.
Wow.
I backed my truck as far down. Well, see, it probably is. Well, where was it caught, Abby? Put some information. I don't know if that's the same fish. I thought that fish that was caught in West Memphis was 90-something pounds. But that's been. It was a long time ago we caught that fish. 20 years anyway. Look, where was it caught, Abby? Does it say?
How you doing, Avid?
Yeah, I backed down the gravel road to the water.
Yeah.
The river's up, I backed as far as I could back to the water and threw out in the gravel road. Fish about 4 foot deep, and no more than 4 foot. As soon as I picked the pole up out of the rod holder, the fish was on top of the water out there.
Hey, a fish is a fish.
Yeah, I know it. I was tickled to catch him. I had a long dry spell. I bet that may be the fish, Abby. Maybe it was 116. Does it say where it was caught, or does it just say the Mississippi River? If it says West Memphis, Arkansas, that's the fish. Well, they was fishing right there on the bank at West Memphis. I had to keep cutting the camera off because I might be doing something you don't want to see. I'm trying to relax, man. I got so much CBD grease on me is the one I ain't squeaking. Back started hurting out there sitting in that lawn chair.
Yeah.
It's getting old as hell.
Yeah.
It ain't for the faint of heart.
I got me a chair, man, that folds up. And it's got a cooler on one side and a table on the other.
Avid, I don't know if that's the fish or not. For some reason, I keep thinking of 90-something pounds, but I'm pretty sure that the state record in Arkansas, all these states up and down the Mississippi River, the state record probably on blues, all of them come from Mississippi, probably.
Yeah, I wish we had blues up here just so I could have all 3 cats to fish for, but I'd do with my channel cats and the flatheads.
Yeah, that's fine. You got to travel a long way to get the blues, I imagine.
Yeah.
That's strange too, because them damn fish are hardy, man. They tough. They can live anywhere.
Yeah, I believe they were up here like way back in the day, but after they put the locking dams in,
Yeah, that's right.
That's what stopped them.
I wonder why they don't stock them. If they were native, it looked like they might be stocking them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna talk to the because we always got DNR guys coming out. When you fish, doing surveys and stuff.
Right.
See if you catch anything, what you use to catch whatever fish you caught, and I'm gonna talk to the guy because we're pretty good. We're on pretty good terms with him, so I'm gonna ask him if he knows anything about that.
Yeah, they might. They should stock them. If they were native, they ought to put some fingerlings up there. Good gracious.
But I know,
They hardy fish, man.
you
They can
know,
stand
I
it.
can't remember where I was watching it. It was on YouTube. I was watching, a biologist was talking about it, and they said out of all three catfish, he said out of all three, the most hardy one out of the three main is the channel cat.
Well, yeah, because they all over the country.
And he said the blues, they're the weakest out of, they're strong, but they're the weakest out of the three.
Yeah.
As in when for the catch and release. So I don't know. Everybody's
You
got
got to.
their own.
You have to be careful with them big blues because,
Yeah.
especially in hot weather. I pulled one. I've held one by in the mouth and pulled him for, oh golly, 2 miles down the river, real slow, trying to get that
Mhm.
water across his gills
Yeah.
before he decided he was gonna go and bit the hell out of me.
I'm
But
gonna start growing my beard again, Avid, probably August.
I
That
wouldn't
keeps,
doubt it. But they can take that cold water. They can handle it.
yeah, I figure they can handle that cold.
You know, the blue flathead. You know, they kind of go dormant
Yeah. They
down
go
here
dormant.
anyway. But
Now during the winter here, I've seen pictures on Facebook, guys be pulling the channel cats through the ice.
yeah, that's right.
But
Sure, they just like a blue in that respect. They're biting one at a time.
yeah, at your flatheads, they go dormant. They don't start biting up here, the flatheads, until it's about 55-degree water,
Yeah,
55, 60.
and the little ones come out first.
Yeah,
Seems like.
but I'm gonna try and target some flatheads this year.
They fun to fish for. They finicky as hell, but they fun to fish for, and they sure fun to fight. If you can get a hold of one 10, 15, 20 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
they uh they like pulling on a log.
Hell, man, my buddy caught one. It was 8 pounds. That thing gave a fight.
Yeah, they strong, boy. They put that nose down and that butt up in the air, and they do everything they can do to
Mm-hmm.
stay on the bottom or get up on the logs and stuff.
Yeah.
They fun to target though. They're a lot of fun. And they're easy to fish for. They're easy to target. It's just get them to take the bait. So you fish
Right.
it, you know, you always fishing around some the bank, a steep clay bank or sunk barge or something, and it's easy to fish for them, but it's crazy to get them to bite. They're so finicky. Hey, Creel, and hey, Red.
How you doing, Creel?
I gotta
Red?
I gotta run in here for a minute. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, Creel, I agree, man. The channel cat, that's some good eating. I do 'em deep fried. I deep fry them, and last year I actually grilled some up. It's actually really good grilled. Yeah, Creel, you should if you look in the description, you'll see Downeast Tackle's price list for his tackle. He's got some good stuff, man. So is anybody gonna be fishing during the week? Big Mike, you still in here? You going fishing anytime this week? Yeah, Don R. I'm gonna try and figure out who to start talking to about that stuff because they don't. I don't even think they have a size limit here for the channel cat. Now up on the Fox River, excuse me, the Fox River on the Winnebago system, they have a size limit and a season for the flathead. So oh, nice off the res. Will you be going live, res? If you are, I'll be watching for you because if I'm not too busy at work again, today was just insane. Work was crazy.
Ugh. I made it back.
You know, I got some of those. I got some hooks that Downeast sent just by themselves. They're Japanese made hooks. They're nice looking hooks, and they are sharp. These hooks right here.
Yeah.
That's some nice sharp hooks right there. I'll probably use these when I go. I'll make up my own rigs with these. Uh,
Boy, it's
I'll
got a
use.
long nose on it.
Yeah,
Hey, Carolina, a real streamer. That thing look like it got a long. Hold it back up there. Boy, look like it got a long beak on it.
yeah, it does.
But that thing is sharp.
Yeah, it's sharp as can be.
He wants you to compare him to Uncle Lou's hook.
I they sharp, and here's Uncle Lou hook right here. Let me see. That's the whole rig for the Uncle Lou. And the Uncle Lou hook. Let me get that in camera.
That beak is long too. I didn't realize they were that long.
Yeah. If I had to say by just touching them like that, they're probably as sharp as Uncle Lou hooks. How you doing, Jamie? Yeah, they're a hybrid hook.
Well, I had my first that little old fish I caught today got on that circle hook, boy. He wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder. I put out a video back in September. I was over there fishing on the Mississippi River. The water was down, and I got 3 big takedowns. I'm talking about they pulled that pole, they pulled it over all 3 times. And the only reason I made a video is because I went back and looked at the live,
Mm-hmm.
and there was 2 bites on there that I didn't even see while I was fishing.
Really?
Yeah, you know how you doing that talking in that chat, and it wasn't
Exactly.
that pole. It didn't pull it and pull it back down. It just pulled it one time. And I just trying to figure out what that was. That had to be flatheads. That just, the pole went down like, and then let it, and didn't ever come back.
Probably a flathead playing around with it.
Yeah, well, I caught 3. I caught 3, and my grandson caught 1. There's been 4 flatheads caught right there in that spot, and I guess it was just a flathead and just messing around and didn't come back and get the bait.
Yeah.
But anyhow, well, if you prefer to use as little terminal tackle as you can, you need to use that rig I make for catfish because it is as minimal as you can get
Yep.
and still be effective. That's what I caught that little fish on today. One of them rigs.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, I didn't. I'd used a slide rig when I was out there in the river on that old big pole, but
Hey,
it was so much trash and stuff.
yeah.
Hey, Angler, the video.
This
You
time
didn't
of
answer
year,
me
you usually get a lot of trash coming down river, though, don't you?
when the water's rising like it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
normally not, but when the water's roaring like it is out there now, rising for the day,
Yeah.
yeah, it's terrible. I had never caught a fish when I was getting all that trash on my line. So that's the reason I was up in the woods trying to get out of that heavy current, get out of that trash. Angler of the Bill, I saw you catch that fish at Sardis. You need to get your butt back in Tennessee and go up there and fish somewhere. Stay away from Mississippi. Mississippi fish. You ain't got no business down there. I bet you ain't even got a Mississippi license. Probably down there breaking the law. He won't ever answer me. He didn't answer me today in my live. I don't know what he must not like me.
Yeah, man, my buddy took a video of where we fished here in town, the river we fish. That's in our town, the Sheboygan River. It's wide open.
No ice.
Yeah, no ice.
Hey, Donna.
Hey, we got to liven this up a little bit.
Well, what's your shirt say there now? My mind is calm. My heart is happy and my hands are busy wood turning. No, okay.
How you doing, Don?
I can't read it upside down. I'm doing great.
See, you got your arm out the sling again.
Pardon?
See, you got your arm not in your contraption there.
Yeah, I took it off tonight. My shoulder was getting a little sore, but it was from the brace, not from the surgery. So I took it off tonight for a while. I'm ready to go fishing already.
Yeah, same here.
don't agree, but I'm ready. But we're still froze solid though.
I know it's probably go this weekend if I can,
Mm.
because we're supposed to be in the 30s all week.
Thanks, Grey Wolf.
Hey, Steve Loke. No problem, Avid, man. It don't Avid. I meant Avid. Avid. No
You
problem,
doing, Steve?
man.
Look?
Hey, I finally got a great experience today. I got to see Steve actually catch a fish.
In a gravel road. You got to say, and he caught it in a gravel road.
Yeah, you did.
Ain't everybody can catch them in a gravel road now.
Uh, somebody had to give you a hard time about it.
They don't bother me, man. I can take it.
Keeps you honest.
It keeps me honest. Yeah.
Angler, hello, avid. One more month, yeah, you betcha. I'm ready. I'm dying up here not being able to put a line in the water.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
learned
don't
so
worry,
many
Evan.
new techniques and new baits, and I got
1
so many
month.
things to try before April that I might have to go back just the way I always used to fish.
Well, not being able to fish and sent Danny Stone to the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, his blood pressure went up to 168 over 104 today.
Wow.
Really?
And he ain't never had high blood pressure.
That's not good.
I know it. And his wife told him it's because he couldn't go fishing.
Yeah, he's pretty high strung. He keeps that motor running at high speed all the time.
Yeah, he wired tight now. He better
Yeah.
keep it. He better keep a check on that blood pressure because he said he never had high blood pressure before.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope he does good. He's kind of a buddy of mine. I kind of enjoy Danny and giving him crap, but I guess when it comes to the tournament, if him and Lance wouldn't be able to make it, it wouldn't hurt my feeling.
Oh. Uh,
Where's Alicia? She's supposed to be the one that's the sleeping horse in this tournament.
yeah. She'll be catching all the panfish.
Yeah,
She gonna catch some brim and perch now, man.
Yeah.
I
She
think
catch
I got
some.
her whooped. No, I'm anxious. Nobody's been able to see what I fish for or how I fish, so I'm really anxious to show you guys. It's
Yeah.
pretty unique up here, a lot different than all you guys down south. And I never know what I'm going to catch. I could catch a
How you doing,
salmon,
big bet?
trout, or a catfish. Just never know.
Yeah, that's the problem, Carolina Real Screamers. You get something that's popular and
Uh,
making you some money. There you go.
you might have to come up with your own hooks.
Now, and then you ain't got time to go fishing because you got to work 3 jobs.
Yeah.
You put all your money on
Oh,
that?
yeah, Evan? I don't think so, man. No, no, no. She'll catch all them brim.
She'll catch her PB, but that's not going to be enough.
She'll catch her PB bluegill.
Well, Donna, you fished the Little Red of the North.
The Red River?
Yeah, of the North. That's what we call it down here. See,
Yeah.
it's a big red river down here too. They call it the Red River of the North.
Yep, it runs north.
Is that the one you fish?
Not all the time because I'm in the middle of the state and it's about 4 hours away.
Oh, okay. I know they catch some humongous channel cats on the Little Red up there.
Yeah, they got a lot of different rules and regulations up there than we do here. And you can only keep five, and one can only be, you can only have one over 20 some inches and all this stuff. And I avoid those kind of regulations, but I'm going to probably hit it up this year, this spring. They catch a lot of big ones, but their big ones are 20 to 30 pounds. And I'm kind of looking, I think there's ones bigger than that around here, but nobody will fish for them. So I
For the
Yeah,
got,
channel
maybe I
cat?
gotta talk to you about them drifting weights.
yeah,
For the channel cat, Don,
yeah,
30 pound, a 30 pound channel cat be worth catching. A 20 pound be worth catching.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of times they're in pretty shallow water. You look for maybe a 6 to 10 foot hole in the river, and if it's got the right ripples to it, they'll be staying in there. So it's not real deep water fishing. Uh, but the Missouri River, it's totally different. You know, we have holes that will run 60 foot deep, and but the current is so much that it's really difficult to fish them. But through what all you guys have taught me, I think I'd be able to fish them this year. And
You fish them out of a boat?
I do sometimes. I like shore fishing more, but sometimes you just can't get to these areas without.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all
Yeah, anywhere channel
private
cats is fun.
property, all private property along the edge, and see, I can't get in there. But I did
We,
hook up with one guy from North Dakota that does YouTube videos, but he doesn't do lives. And
yeah.
him and two other guys are trying to get uh, North Dakota YouTube videos going, but they're all about walleye, like
Oh
that.
yeah.
And
Uh, I got a good friend up there, Paul Malin. Trying to remember what town he lives in. Because I ain't talked to Paul in years and years. I used to work with him. Oh heck. I can't remember the name of the city. We worked for the same company back in the 80s and 90s.
yeah, I always put a thing on the local advertiser and said, uh, old disabled vet looking for a place to shore fish for catfish. And I thought maybe some of the private owners would pop up and say, you can come out my place. But nah, the most people said go to this boat launch or that boat launch. Well, south of us is one of the biggest reservations, and it seems like all those punk kids come and hang around towards sunset, and I just don't.
That ain't no
don't
fun.
look. I got a short fuse when it comes to teenagers mouthing off to me.
Yeah, well. Well, look at
Yeah,
here.
don't
Isn't that
blame you.
all? Ain't that all farming country?
Uh, no, there's a lot of ranching country up here too. It's about half and half.
Ranching, you said?
Yeah,
Hell, go find out who owns it and go ask them.
yeah.
Yeah, farmers, and I don't know about up there because y'all Yankees, and y'all walk to a different drum. But farmers down here, they the cream of the crop. I mean, they the
Yep.
best folks in the world.
Yeah, it's hard because you don't know who owns it.
I
And,
told go to acrevalue.com
yeah,
and it'll tell you the landowner's name.
and
Acre
then
value.
they say, well, so and so's got it leased, so they got control over it, and
Then go talk to them.
yeah.
Man, farmers are the best folks in the world.
that's my goal this year is find a place I can go and be by myself and not have to worry about, you know, being disrupted like at a boat launch and all those.
Stan
Put
says
it bluntly,
Reed
all those
Grid.
drug dealers and users
No,
come around about nightfall, and I don't want to be around it.
no, you don't want to be around that.
I'm too old to be messing around that way. So
But but
everything's looking up pretty good as far as a place to fish.
but acrevalue.com is a free site too, Stan.
Hmm.
And I used it when metal detecting because I metal detect all over this country down here, and I, it's good to know the people's names and be able to go talk to them. And
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard you talk about that before, and I've checked it out. And yeah, even like hunting around here, I've last 2 years I've quit hunting because it's just such a pain in the ass to get a hold of people to even ask. And then a lot of them, you go and ask them and they give you an ass chewing for even asking,
well,
but
Huh.
hunting and fishing is two different things, though, Don.
yeah, yeah. But they used to never be that way up here. But since the oil came in and so many people came in from out of state, they've gotten just totally ridiculous with it.
Yeah.
It's become mine, mine, mine. Ah, we used to be able to drive all the section lines and stuff, and now they'll come up and stop you for driving a section line, which is government property, and they'll try and give you the right act and chew you out. And it's like, I don't need this shit. I always want to pull my 380 out and tell them
Yeah.
where to go. Tell them I'm an old fart. I don't give a shit no more.
Yeah. That's right.
But yeah, it's sure changed. I spent 30 years, and when I come back, it's so different. I used to know everybody. I never had a problem. I'd drive up in the yard and we'd shoot the shit and we'd go hunting. And now it's just totally, totally changed.
Yeah. It sucks when time changes, man.
It's getting like the East Coast. Unless you belong to a hunt club, you ain't gonna have no place to fish because they take all their dues and lease all the good land. And
Yes, it's same thing down here.
it was Virginia. It was costing me, I think, $1,000 a year to join a hunt club, but without it, I had absolutely no place to go hunt.
That's what I would say, Mo. Says, isn't government property our property?
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty feisty there down east. I decided I better start giving some of my guns away. Uh, I ain't gonna hurt anybody with them, but I might scare the shit out of them from time to time. Yeah,
Crown land down East Texas, the crown land.
yeah. There's a lot of them. They block off these section lines and put gates up, and actually, one guy he put posts in the middle of the road. Well, I had an old pickup truck, so I just drove over all those goddamn posts and knocked them all down. There's nothing he can do about it. It's as much mine as it is his, but they're starting to teach their kids that putting up gates and harassing people is the way to go about it. And
Yeah.
when I took hunter's ed with my granddaughter, these kids were bragging about how their folks were fencing off the section lines and stuff and keeping people out. Boy, I had to bite my tongue because I wanted to grab them by the neck and tell them, you know what? That's not the right way. You know?
Right.
And of course, there are folks that just bring them up and drop them off and pick them up. They weren't there. But yeah, it's kind of one of my annoying things since I retired. I thought, well, I'll come back and do hunting and fishing, and I can't even get into some of the fishing spots I used to do.
Well, are you from North Dakota originally?
Yeah, I was born and raised in North Dakota.
And you back where you were born and raised, the
Yep,
same area?
yep. But oil business is so big around here that I know very few people anymore. And
Hey, Carpin.
the guys my age are all either gone or in homes somewhere. And
Right.
hey, Carpin,
Hey, Carbon.
I hate to ignore chat, but I'm very bad at reading chat and running my mouth at the same time. But so, yeah, this year I'm thinking about getting a deer license, but the Corps of Engineers owns all the waterfront property up to the high water mark. And so I'm thinking about if the weather permits, I'll just take my boat and get into areas that I can't walk in. Uh, and might work out better for me. I just get a deer, roll it on the front of the boat, and go.
There you go. Well, you're
That
right.
might be the best way to go about it.
Yeah,
You're exactly right about the federal government owning all the waterways and
Yeah.
how they sell water out west. I'll never know.
yeah. These private owners try to fence all that off and make you believe that they own it.
They don't own it.
They don't own it.
Not below the high water mark.
I'm sure they'll come down and try to give me shit for hunting down there, but
Well, let me shed a little light on it, Don. I don't know how much money you got, but the local game warden, the local sheriff, the local judge, all of them is gonna side with the landowners.
yep,
But if you can stay in the fight long enough to get it to the Supreme Court, it will be thrown out.
yep,
Every case of a trespasser fishing or hunting below the high water mark on a navigable river has been thrown out when it reaches the Supreme Court. But it takes a fortune to get there
yep.
because the local government is going to side with the landowner.
Yeah.
The
Well,
sheriff,
I'm to the point I'm ready to take on the fight for all this
well,
stuff.
there you go.
And for senior citizens and the state putting up gates, and they're taking the senior citizen out of the fishing and hunting scene, but that's where all your knowledge is. That's where
Yeah.
all these kids need to be taught from, is from the senior citizens that can tell them stories and bring them along. And they're just totally taking us out of the scene. I can't
Yeah.
walk 2 miles in just to go hunting, and
And that's the sad part. They're pushing the older generation out, and your younger generation don't know nothing.
That's right.
uh,
They get no a chance at deer camp or camping, spending the night in a tent and deer hunting all the next day.
Yep.
it's that old guy that stops them and say, "You realize what you're doing is wrong. It's against the law." And kind of points them in the right direction too. Because a lot of these kids going out there don't have a damn clue of what's right,
Right.
wrong. What's humane, what's not humane. Uh, they just think it's a fun time.
Money in years. That's right, Mo Barrett.
You got that. You hit that right on the head, Mo Barrett.
So that's the fights I've been into, along with the catfish. I've been running into brick walls, but I don't stop. I just back up and take a harder charge. But we want to get blue catfish reestablished in upper Missouri where they're native fish.
Right.
But the big thing the federal government is hiding under is the fact that they're not considered a game fish. And without be considering a game fish, they won't start a stocking program.
And you know that's the sad part.
And if the federal government finally gets on board, the state governments will follow. And that'll be all up and down the Missouri River, not just North Dakota or above.
Well, let me ask you this: which is it, north or south, that's got that lady governor?
Pardon?
Which is it, North or South Dakota, that's got the lady governor that everybody
That's
likes?
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Yeah.
I was thinking, say, I bet you could get her here, but she's a reasonable person.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the problem is, unless you get at least a governor, the federal government and DC are the ones that are controlling it, whether they consider it a game fish or not. And until they do, there ain't gonna be nothing anybody can do up and down the rivers to improve the habitat for catfish.
Right.
It
Yeah,
almost takes
but the state could
everybody
stock
hit
it.
them at the same time, and that's beyond me how to get that to happen.
But the state could stock the fish. Don't they have hatcheries? I bet they do.
The federal has a lot of hatcheries, so does the state,
That's what I mean. The state could stock it if they wanted to.
if they wanted to, right? We work hand in hand with the state, so the state gives us the requirements, but with the federal, it takes in consideration all the states, not just one individual state. And if you try doing it in one individual state, then they do impact studies of how it affects other states. And if they're against it, then it gets shot down. But if you get the federal government to take the lead, they're in the lead of all the states. And it would just save a lot of time and effort going that direction. But sometimes on things like that, I wish I was still in DC area.
Well, you need to head off some of these pay lake fishermen and
Yeah,
that's hauling their fish to them pay lakes out of all these lakes around the rivers around the country, and get them to bring 4 or 5 loads up there and dump them in your water.
well, see, that's the other thing. If
Hey, well, that's what they doing. I mean, they raping all the other places to carry them to them pay lakes.
Yeah.
Let them bring them up there where they put them in back in the wild. Look here, that guy that's catching them fish to carry to the pay lakes is gonna follow that dollar bill, and if that dollar bill leads him to North Dakota, that's where he's going with that load of fish.
Yep.
And if the
Money
catfish are
talk.
considered game fish, that seriously puts a lot of restrictions on them. And if they're not in all parts, it could pretty much shut them all down because you can't be, doing the netting necessary to keep them supplied if they're game fish.
Well, see, that's what happens. The commercial fishermen, the commercial group that commercial fishers, if they declare it a game fish, then they're gonna fall under some serious regulations because that's one of their mainstays in the nets is catfish.
Yeah.
The commercial fishermen.
Yeah.
Carolina, you're right. It's been a long night. I'm tired for some reason already. That boar's nest gets me every once in a while. I get
It just,
sucked into that, and it takes me 3 days to recover.
I can't believe I got up and went fishing this morning.
I can't eat it.
What time did you
And,
guys stop?
About
huh?
the time,
Oh, I went to bed. I left them about 3:05, and I went to bed about 3:20, I guess. And I got up at 8:30, 9:30, and I was fishing by 11. I was live before 11 o'clock. But hell, what else am I gonna do? I ain't doing nothing else. I need to be planting sweet. I need to plant sweet corn. It's time to plant my sweet corn. But what's been more important, planting sweet corn or going fishing?
I guess going fishing one.
Yeah, come about the middle of June, I'll be saying, why didn't I plant that sweet corn? Man, I'd love to have a couple of years of it for supper tonight.
yeah,
Cause
Carolina,
look,
we got a lot of catfish up here, and they plant so many walleye that if you say you're a catfisherman, they just don't have anything to do with you because you're getting those bottom garbage fish, and so
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
have a
get a
lot of
lot of
walleye
arguments
fishermen
about
mad at
that.
me because I'm gonna use some walleye for bait.
Yeah, yeah, we can't do that.
well, Carolina Range Real Screamers, I'm gonna give you a little joyful news, and this is kind of historical news. And listen closely now. And I guess you saw Doc Lang tonight on Muskrat's show. He and I and a bunch of other fellas, Lyle was in it, and Lyle and Doc Lang, Epic, and myself are the only four that I have seen in the YouTube community that belong to the Brotherhood of Catfishermen back in 2000, the very early 2000, and that was an argument, and we had thousands of members, and that was an argument that was always fought over catch and release. And through that website, through that I don't is I guess it's a website. I guess it was a website. Catch and release became very, very popular. I know they convinced me to catch and release. I convinced other people to catch and release. And catch and release is way, 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 way yonder bigger now than it was in the year 2000. And that's just 22 years ago. I can tell you that catch and release is 100 times more popular today than it was in the year 2000. So that's some good news for you. Uh, we can't fight the commercial fishermen that
Yeah,
they doing it for a living, but the sport fishermen keep a few fish to eat, throw all the big boys back, and that's it's a lot more popular today to throw the fish back than it was in the year 2000. Now, I can tell you that for a fact. So maybe that make you feel a little better.
Yeah, it's pretty popular with your bigger fish, but when you come that right down to it, the bigger fish aren't very good eating anyhow.
No, but
You want
as
those
people,
2-year-old fish for the best eating. But
Yeah, but you've seen hundreds of pictures of folks standing in their backyard holding up a fish for the camera,
yep,
and that is becoming less popular. It has become less popular.
I don't see anything wrong if it's a really really big fish, a state record or something like that. Or I look at it that in some ways that's helping the fisheries because people see it and they get excited about going fishing. But to do it every time you get a personal best and get a little bit bigger one, that's a little different story. Taking a picture is one thing, but doing it in the backyard, I prefer to take a picture and release it, take the measurements, and if I never break it, I can always take and get a mount out of it just by the measurements.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, catch and release catfish is a lot more popular now than it was 22 years ago.
Yeah, you're right, Steve.
I caught and released every fish I ever caught, but most of them was in the Crisco until the year 2000, 2001, and I ain't kept over 3 or 4 fish since. And they were just small ones to cook.
Yeah, up to a certain size. If they're real big, fat, and healthy, and I have a tendency to release them because by the time you trim all the fat off, you really don't get that much meat off of them. But those 2 3 pounders are usually pretty good. But sometimes on a good year, they get pretty fat.
Carolina real screamers. You know what worries me more than folks keeping a few catfish? And these folks is catching them 400 and 500 skipjacks because the jumping carp, the silver carp, and the bighead carp are going to eliminate skipjacks out of the Mississippi River
Yeah, they
drainage.
are.
They're going to eliminate them. There
Yeah.
won't be any more skipjacks uh, when Carolina real screamers is my age. Skipjacks will be something when somebody catches one, you'll say, "What kind of fish is that?" They're going to eliminate skipjacks. They've already eliminated the shad down here, and it's just a matter of time before 41% of the United States has got skipjacks or the Mississippi drainage district, the drainage basin. There won't be no skipjacks. There won't be nothing but jumping carp.
Yes, Stan, you're right, and they'll last a lot longer too.
And that worries the heck out of me because on the Mississippi, skipjack is a good bait, man. They're gonna be depleted.
The Asian carp give me nightmares. My kids, we had a sturgeon jump up over the front of the boat last year, and they weren't sure what it was because it happened so fast that, and they kind of described it. My mind went straight to the Asian carp, and my first thoughts was, "Oh my God, if we got them here, that's terrible." But so far, it seems like they've came up the James River, but they didn't reproduce up there. They have no signs of them reproducing. So maybe it's just a little bit too cold up this way for them. But that really bothers me. They're doing more damage than people will ever know.
They're doing more damage than the people will admit. Look, they got an electric barrier on the Illinois River to keep them out of the Great Lakes. And the Illinois River is as cold as you get in it, Don.
They're killing all the spawn. They're going in and all your spawning fish are vulnerable to them. They're messing up the habitat, and plus they're eating all the microorganisms that the spawning, the hatching eggs need to
Yeah,
make
that's right.
fingerlings.
That's every species: bass, crappie, brim.
Yep,
They eat up everything that the baby fish eat, and they eat it until they're 50 pounds.
yep.
They don't never quit eating it. But now I ask you a question. They put an electric barrier across the Illinois River going into the Great Lakes up there, or wherever it goes, to keep it carp from going any further up into the Great Lakes. In the Illinois River, is colder water is your area or not?
I couldn't say for sure, but all I can say is we're froze up to about 26 inches of ice right now.
Yeah,
So it may be that we're colder during the time that they have to spawn or
yeah,
the time that they come north. But they did catch a few in their nets, but there was no sign the next year that there was any small Asian carp showing that they had spawned up here. So they've been monitoring pretty close. The James River will run straight down into the Missouri, I believe. So it doesn't have any dams blocking it like our Missouri River does. So if they were to come up, that's where it would be. They actually closed down the hatchery in Jamestown because of it this uh, this last year. They didn't want to. The lake above it's got zebra mussels, and they didn't want to be spreading it, so they closed the hatchery down and didn't deliver any fish out of that hatchery this year because of the Asian carp and the zebra mussels.
yeah.
Oh,
Mo Barrett, a little insight into the alligator gar. It's the alligator gar that eat the small carp, and that's the only predator they have. I guess the alligator eat them, but the alligator gar and the alligator gar down here in the Mississippi River, right here where I live, is making a big comeback. The commercial fishermen are catching and releasing
Good night, Downeast.
lots of alligator
see you
gar,
later, Downeast.
a lot more than they've caught in the last 30 years, 20 years. And they're releasing the alligator gar not because the government says they have to. They release an alligator gar because they know what's going on out there in the water.
Yeah.
And the carp are cutting in on their money.
Mhm.
And they are crediting the commercial fishermen down here are crediting the increase in the alligator gar to the increase in the carp because they think the alligator gar are preying on the carp. So they release an alligator gar, which they could be selling, but
Yeah,
those guys, they know way more about what's going on out there in the water than the government scientists do or the university scientists.
yeah.
They making a living doing it.
I think the northerns and the muskies up here would have the same effect. We have a lake that they put shad in. Well, the shad got too big to be food source for the walleye, so then they had to start stocking muskie in there because they were too big for the walleye to eat. But the northerns in muskie, they can eat a pretty big, 2, 3 pound fish easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Potomac River.
Hey, PRM, how you doing, Smoke?
All right, let me see how I do this, Daddy.
Who knows what the future might bring us, right,
Hey,
Lance?
lucky boy.
Huh?
Who knows what the future might bring us? But
Yeah.
I just hope it brings us some common sense.
We
But,
can only pray.
the fisheries have been, well, what am I trying to say? They've always expected to have been there to where
Yeah.
anybody can go there and catch fish. But nobody's ever thought about the conservation and the future of it. They've always just looked at it as, well, you go out and you go fishing and you catch fish and you eat them,
Right.
or not. And I think the conservation and stuff is starting to get ahead of steam.
At
Uh,
least we can hope it is.
if we get enough people in the right time and the right place to, there's a lot of things that can be done. And I'm sorry, I look at kids growing up without fishing, and I feel sorry for them because that has always been such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
I spent hours never catching a fish, but I never lost hope on that fish is right there ready to bite.
Yep.
And when I catch one, whether it's 4 inches or 24 inches or 34 inches, it really doesn't matter. It's all that, you take all your knowledge and stuff together and you make it work. And that
Yeah.
seems to be what it's all about, is just common sense. You think it through, and when your ideas have success, it's a thrill. And
Yes, sir.
not everything you can get a thrill off these days.
That's why I get excited catching a panfish.
Yeah. Plus, I like to eat them. I
Yeah.
like fish. These raised fish in the stores is just, if that's all you've ate, you've never eaten a fish,
Right.
because there's no comparison. And I think it tastes a lot better when you catch it yourself. We used to catch little perch, 4 or 5 inches long as kids.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a hand line and a bobber. We didn't even have a fishing pole. And we'd wade out in the water and catch those perch. And when we catch one, we'd run to shore, we'd gut it, scale it, stick it on a stick, put it over the fire, put a little salt on it, and eat it. And that was just the
That
greatest.
was the best fish you ever ate.
Yeah. There's just something about doing that it just tasted so good.
Yeah.
And then we go back to catch another one. Well, it'd take all day. We still wouldn't be full. Young kids, they can eat, eat, eat.
I know that's like growing up in Hawaii. We'd catch fish right out the ocean and we'd have a fire right there on the beach.
Yeah.
Dig a hole in the sand, put some wood in there.
Never seems to taste better than when you're out fishing and you're kind of hungry and you throw that fish on and cook it, the one you caught.
Yep.
I was waiting for Steve to cook that one today and
Yeah.
throw it on a stick and rotate it a few times and tear into it.
Boy, he was perfect. He was a
Yeah,
perfect eater.
just about the right size.
Boy, that fish was so blue. I didn't even really look at him to see what it was, but I just took it for granted he was a blue. He was just blue as this shirt I got on.
Yeah.
And but that's kind of strange. He had a kind of a channel cat mouth on him,
Mhm.
but he was little, But he looked like I would have called him a blue. I didn't look at his fins or nothing. It didn't make me no difference.
Yeah. That's like the one I caught last fall. I swore was a blue, and they swear there's no blues in the river system up here. But they said, well, when the channel catfish get about 24 plus inches, they start losing all their spots and stuff. And I said, I've never seen that, but I
Well,
wouldn't
see,
even go back to the dumpster and dig out the guts to prove it
yeah.
otherwise.
Well, see, channels down here always have a brown tint to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got a brownish tint. Even if they have a bluish tint, they still got that brown there. And this fish was totally blue.
yeah,
So I thought when I caught him, I said, well, that channel got to be a channel cat. And I got him, I pulled him in over that treetop. Damn, that fish is mighty blue. And of course, I got a phone call just as I was trying to show the fish.
yep.
And it,
Don't you like how that works?
yeah. And it was one of them numbers that have you sure you don't want to re-up your warranty on your car or something.
Yeah, one of those scam calls.
It wasn't even somebody. It was a robocall.
Yeah, that's the
But
only ones I ever get anymore.
it looked it I would have called it a blue. It don't matter. It don't make any difference. But
No,
I was sure in a funny spot to be catching a blue.
up here to me it would make a big difference because I'd love to prove the state wrong that there
Yeah,
are no blues and no flatheads up here. So when you got a majority of the fishermen not fishing for them and not targeting them, yeah, you're not going to get reports of people catching them and knowing the
that's right.
difference.
That's right.
So, and I never paid attention before. I just go out, catch 4 or 5 eaters, and take them home. And I found last year putting them on a smoker about 2 hours, marinating them up, and those things were so good. But
Good food.
so many different ways to cook catfish, and they're all good.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to fry them. I got to
Yeah,
fry them and get me some onion and tartar sauce, and well, I can eat some fish now. Golly, I love it. Catfish, or crappie. I like crappie too.
Tomek says his blood bait is in his backpack and ready for tomorrow.
Nice.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Potomac River, you don't have to bait up but one time with it, and you better carry a sharp knife to cut it off of the hook when you get ready to go home. Because I fished it in the Mississippi River today, and I had to cut it off the hook with a knife.
I think I just cut the hook off.
Man.
Might be easier.
And you can't pull it off the hook with your hand. Well, I didn't put my hands on it, but I cut it right down the hook and peeled it off like you would a banana peel or something. That stuff will stay on the hook, and I had it on surf hook.
Yeah, mine came in yesterday, the day before, and I opened it up and asked the wife if she wanted to smell it. But it had that secondary lid on it, so
Yeah,
I opened it up and she kind of leaned over and then she realized what it was. But If it hadn't had that secondary lid, I'd have got a good idea how much it smelled.
There ain't a whole lot of things in this world I've ever smelled that smells any worse.
Uh,
But
Yeah, it's potent stuff, man.
it's potent. You're right. That's the word, potent.
I called my son-in-law today and told him I got a
Hopefully you
jar
catch
of
something
bait.
tomorrow with it, Smoke.
And look, after 3 hours out there in that river, in that current, it still had potent. It was still potent because I smelled it.
Stan, it didn't take me very long to get mine at all. It came pretty fast.
Well, I'm kind of upset I didn't get my 75-cent discount.
I got $1.60.
I gave
I
up
ordered
on.
2 jars and it came to almost enough to making the postage less than the bait.
Well, my postage was twice as much as the bait.
Yeah.
I think the bait's $7.50, and it was six, 15, right at $16 or something other to get it here. That it was twice as much as the bait cost. But you know, it's all right. It does what Lance said it would do. Now, you know, the jury's still out on whether I'm gonna catch a fish on it. But I was more impressed with it. Was it gonna stay on the hook? And it does.
Well, for me, it'll last me a long time, so I could spend a lot more money in that buying night crawlers or any other type bait that's available to me. But
Well, hey, look here, y'all. I'm finna drop out of here, and I'm gonna turn it
Yeah.
over to y'all. I got something I got to get tended to here on the internet before the boa's nest comes up.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and end it myself. Thanks for everybody that came
I'll
in.
see y'all later.
All
all right,
right.
Steve.
Thanks for coming up, Don.
All right,
We'll go
we'll
ahead and
catch you
end it
later,
and
Lance.
hop over to the boar's nest for a little bit, and I'm gonna hit the bed.
I guess it is almost that time, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, all you chatters, good to have you in there. We'll see y'all tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in, and good luck with that bait tomorrow, Smoke.